The pain was sharp, radiating through my scalp as James yanked my hair, forcing me to my knees. The elegant Japanese restaurant blurred around me as I knelt, my head bowed before her. Rebecca, his secretary and, as I had just discovered, his mistress. Her smug smile made my stomach churn. Apologized to her. James growled, his grip tightening. 7 years together. And here I was, humiliated in public while diners averted their gazes, pretending not to see. "I'm waiting, MIA, James said. His voice low and impatient. Rebecca feigned concern, her voice laced with artificial sweetness. "It's okay, James. She doesn't have to if she doesn't want to." That only made it worse. I bit the inside of my cheek, willing back the tears of humiliation when a calm, authoritative voice cut through the tension. "Mr. Calloway, I suggest you release her immediately." The voice belonged to a man standing just behind me. Tall, impeccably dressed, exuding a quiet yet undeniable power. His dark eyes locked onto James, filled with something between anger and disgust. James scowled. "This is a private matter." The man smirked, making a woman kneel in public. "I'd say you've made it everyone's business." The pressure in my hair suddenly lessened as James hesitated. The stranger extended a hand, helping me to my feet, then turned his sharp gaze on Rebecca. "And you, what kind of woman watches another being humiliated and enjoys it?" Rebecca's confident smile faltered. James stepped forward, but the man cut him off smoothly. "By the way, I'm Alex Chin. Your company's been chasing my investment for months. Consider that possibility officially dead." James paled. I knew why. Alex Chin was the CEO of Vertex Technology, an industry giant. The industry giant. The very partnership James's company had been desperate to secure before their upcoming IPO. James tried to recover, his voice suddenly placating. "Wait, Mr. Chin, this is just a misunderstanding." Alex barely glanced at him. "The only misunderstanding was mine," he said coolly, handing me his business card. "I thought I was dealing with a professional." With that, he turned to me. "Let's go." James and Rebecca stood frozen in shock as Alex guided me toward the exit. Before we left, he threw one last remark over his shoulder. "Oh, and expect a call from your board. I'll be sharing what I witnessed tonight." In the taxi ride home, I stared at the card in my hands, my fingers trembling, not from fear, but from the realization of how much time I had wasted. 7 years of my life, given to a man who thought nothing of humiliating me in public, and not because he cared, not because he regretted his actions, but because a business deal had just slipped through his fingers. It hadn't always been like this. James and I met in college, both ambitious, both full of dreams. He had a charming smile, grand plans for a tech startup. I had marketing skills and family connections that I had ultimately sacrificed to help him. "We'll build something amazing together," he had promised on graduation day. "Once we get established, we'll get married, have it all." I believed him. I turned down my father's offer to join his firm. I moved into James's tiny apartment. I worked double shifts at a coffee shop while spending every spare moment helping him build his company. My ideas became his presentations. My contacts became his business leads. My savings became his startup capital. 3 years later, when his company finally turned a profit, I reminded him of his promise. After we secure major investors, he said, "We're so close, MIA." A year later, once we expand to the West Coast, then, after we hire more staff, finally, once the IPO launches, I promise. Always another milestone, always another goal just out of reach, but I stayed, because I loved him. Because I had invested everything in our shared dream, because each morning, he'd kiss my forehead and whisper, "We're almost there." Then came Rebecca. James hired her 6 months ago, a childhood friend who needed a job, he had explained. At first, the changes were subtle. Late nights at the office, a new cologne. Texts he'd quickly hide when I walked into the room. "You're imagining things," he scoffed when I asked. "Rebecca is just efficient. We need her for the IPO. Efficient, right?" As the taxi pulled up to our apartment building, I clenched my fists, remembering his dismissive tone. Our apartment, except it wasn't really ours. 3 years ago, when James was struggling financially, I had secretly borrowed money from my mother to buy the place outright. "Don't tell James," I had told her. His pride would be hurt if he knew. My mother had sighed. MIA, a man with true pride wouldn't let you support him in secret. I had hung up on her then, angry at her judgment. Now, Her words rang with painful truth. Inside, I moved with quiet determination. I pulled out my suitcases and started packing. Each item I folded wasn't just clothing. It was a piece of myself that I was reclaiming. The dress I wore to our first investor meeting, the scarf James gave me on our 5th anniversary, promising, next year, it'll be a ring. My phone buzzed. James. I silenced it and kept packing. Halfway through emptying the closet, I opened his desk, looking for my passport. Instead, my fingers brushed against a folder marked IPO Confidential. Curiosity made me open it. Inside were financial statements and discrepancies, large sums funneled into offshore accounts. James had been cooking the books. The IPO wasn't just his ticket to wealth, it was his escape plan before everything collapsed. No wonder he kept delaying our wedding. He never intended to marry me. My phone rang again. Not James this time, my mother. I hesitated before answering. MIA, she said. Her voice softer than usual, lacking its usual judgment, and just like that, the tears I had held back finally fell. 7 years ago, I had ignored her advice. I had fought for a man who would never fight for me. But this time, I was done. Mr. Chin had called to inform us of the incident, and of course, Alan must have recognized my family name. I'm fine, I lied, my voice cracking under the strain. Come home, my mom suggested simply. Just for tonight, no lectures, I promise. I can't, I replied. James had shown his true colors that day. Please, MIA, she persisted. I glanced around at the half-packed suitcases, the incriminating financial documents strewn about, and the empty promises that had haunted this apartment for years. There's someone I'd like you to meet. My mother added carefully, hinting at the son of a family friend, a good man who had found success on his own terms. The old anger surged within me. Mom, I just had the worst day of my life. And you're trying to set me up? No, she answered calmly. I'm offering you choices. Stay with James, come home without meeting anyone, or consider that there might be better men out there. Just then, my phone beeped with a text from James. Where are you? I'm coming home. We need to talk. At that moment, something inside me snapped. Not my heart, but the chains I'd wrapped around it. Mom, I said, grabbing my suitcase and the folder of financial documents. I'll be home in an hour. As I closed the apartment door behind me, I felt a surge of freedom and, perhaps, a flicker of hope. My childhood home looked exactly the same. A sprawling colonial with the familiar blue door, the creaking porch swing, and the flowering bushes lining the walkway. Yet, I felt like a stranger approaching it. As the taxi drove away, I wheeled my suitcase up to the house. Before I could ring the bell, the door swung open. My mother stood there, her hair grayer and the lines around her eyes deeper than I remembered. For a moment, we just stared at each other. 7 years of stubborn silence hanging heavily between us. MIA, she finally said, her voice breaking. She opened her arms and I fell into her embrace, breathing in the familiar scent of lavender and home. All the arguments, all the harsh words we'd exchanged the day I chose James over my family's wishes, they didn't matter anymore. I'm sorry, I whispered. I should have listened. Sure, she soothed, stroking my hair. You're home now. My father appeared in the hallway behind her, his stern face softening, though he still maintained his dignified posture. Daughter, he said formally, but his eyes were moist. Dad, I stepped toward him, unsure of my welcome, until he pulled me into a tight hug. No man worthy of you would ever make you kneel, he whispered fiercely. Later, over steaming cups of tea, I showed them the financial documents I'd taken from James's desk. My father, a respected financial advisor, examined them with growing concern. This is serious fraud, he concluded. When this IPO launches, innocent investors will lose millions while he profits from inflated stock prices. He looked at me solemnly. You need to report this. I will, I promised, tomorrow. My mother reached for my hand, her gaze shifting to my father. There's something else we need to discuss, she began, about the man she mentioned earlier. Mom, I just left a 7-year relationship. I'm not ready to just meet him, I protested. She interrupted gently. Alex is a good man, intelligent, successful on his own merits. I nearly choked on my tea. Alex Chin. The Alex Chin who helped you today. Yes, she smiled. His mother and I serve on the same charity board. When he saw your name on the reservation, he recognized it and called me immediately after the incident. My cheeks burned with embarrassment. So his appearance wasn't coincidental. No, my father admitted, but his disgust at James's behavior was genuine. Alex has been asking about you for months. Ever since he learned we had a daughter in the tech industry. I struggled to process this. The powerful CEO who had interceded on my behalf had known who I was all along. Perhaps even looking for an opportunity to meet me. This is too strange, I said, and slightly creepy. My mother laughed. It's not what you think. Alex wanted to offer you a job, not a relationship. He's been impressed by the marketing strategies you developed for James's company. How would he know those were mine? My father smiled slightly. Unlike James, Alex does proper research on his competitors. He recognized that the sudden shift in marketing approach coincided with your arrival at the company. Before I could respond, the doorbell rang. My mother rose. That would be him now. Now, I jumped up. Mom, I look terrible. I've been crying. I haven't even showered. He's seen you at your worst already. She reminded me gently. Perhaps it's better this way. No pretenses. Alex's chin looked different in my parents' living room than he had in the restaurant. Less intimidating. More approachable. He wore casual slacks and a simple button-down shirt, his expression hesitant as he entered. Miss Song. He greeted me formally. I hope I'm not intruding. I studied him, searching for signs of the calculating businessman my parents had described or, worse, for any hint of the man who had seen me humiliated. Instead, I found only respectful interest. Mr. Chin, I replied. I believe we're supposed to pretend we haven't met. A small smile played at his lips. Would you prefer that? I'd prefer honesty, I said, starting with, why you've been asking about me for months. My parents discreetly excused themselves, leaving us alone. Alex sat across from me, maintaining a respectful distance. Your Nightingale campaign for Quay Tech, he began without preamble, was brilliant. Customer engagement increased 340% with minimal additional spending. When I asked who was responsible, all signs pointed to you, though James Calloway took full credit. I blinked, surprised by his directness. You investigated me. I investigate talent, he corrected, especially when it's undervalued. He leaned forward. Miss Song, I came here tonight to offer you a position at Tex Technologies, Chief Marketing Officer, with full creative control and appropriate credit for your work. My jaw dropped. CMO, but I don't have the official experience. You have 7 years of practical experience and a portfolio of successful campaigns, he countered. What you lack is recognition. I narrowed my eyes. And what do you get out of this arrangement? For the first time, he looked uncomfortable. Beyond your talent, information about James, I guessed. Alex nodded. His company's IPO is based on fraudulent numbers, as you've discovered, he said, gesturing to the folder on the coffee table. We need to stop it before innocent investors lose their money. So, I'm a source, not just a marketing genius. I asked dryly. You're a partner. He corrected, if you choose to be. There was a seriousness in his voice that made me look up sharply. And what exactly are we partnering on, Mr. Chin? I pressed. He met my gaze steadily. The business arrangement is separate, but my mother and yours have higher hopes. A hint of color touched his cheeks. They believe we would be compatible. I couldn't help but laugh at the absurdity of the situation. The formal way he described what was essentially an arranged marriage. The embarrassment evident in his composed features. It all struck me as ridiculously funny after the drama of the day. I'm sorry, I gasped, seeing his confusion. It's just that I knelt in a restaurant this morning, discovered my boyfriend's fraud this afternoon, and now I'm discussing marriage with a stranger this evening. To my surprise, Alex laughed too, the sound transforming his serious face, revealing depths I hadn't noticed before. When you put it that way, it does sound insane. He admitted, for the record, I'm not proposing marriage, just exploring possibilities. Professional definitely, personal perhaps. His honesty was refreshing after years of James's empty promises. I appreciate that, I said sincerely, but why would you even consider the personal perhaps, with someone you barely know? Alex was quiet for a moment, because when I researched you, I found more than a marketing genius. I found someone loyal. Even when that loyalty wasn't deserved, someone creative and resilient, someone who works twice as hard for half the credit. He looked away, someone who reminded me of my mother. The sincerity in his voice touched something in me. Before I could respond, the doorbell rang again, an aggressive, repeated buzzing that made both of us tense. James. His voice bellowed from outside. Alex stood immediately. I'll handle this. No, I put my hand on his arm. This is my battle. I opened the front door to find James swaying slightly, his eyes bloodshot. He'd been drinking. Baby, he slurred, reaching for me. I've been so worried. Let's go home and talk about this. There's nothing to talk about, I said calmly. We're done. James. He spotted Alex behind me and his face contorted with rage. You're sleeping with him already. That's enough. My father appeared beside me. Leave my property now, or I'll call the police. James ignored him, jabbing a finger at me. You think you can just walk away after everything I've done for you? I made you, MIA. You were nothing before me. Each word hit like a physical blow, but I stood my ground. No, James. I made you, my ideas, my connections, my money, and I have the documents to prove you've been embezzling company funds. His face paled. You wouldn't. I already have. Alex said from behind me. The SEC has been notified. The board will receive full documentation tomorrow morning. James lunged forward suddenly, his hand raised. I flinched. But Alex was faster, stepping between us and catching James's wrist midair. That, Alex said quietly, would be your final mistake. 2 security guards appeared from a car parked on the street. Alex's men, I realized. They took James firmly by the arms. This isn't over, James shouted as they led him away. You'll regret this, MIA. Both of you will. When the car disappeared down the street, I realized I was shaking. Not from fear, but from anger at James, at myself for staying so long, at the years I'd wasted. Are you all right? Alex asked softly. I looked up at him. This stranger who had now twice intervened in my life. No, I admitted. But I will be. Later that night, after Alex had gone and my parents had retired to bed, I sat on the porch swing trying to process the day's events. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. The job offer stands, regardless of anything else. No pressure, no strings. Alex. For the first time that day, I smiled genuinely. Perhaps my mother's arrangement deserved consideration after all. The next morning brought a flurry of activity. 2 SEC agents arrived to take my statement about James's financial misconduct. I handed over the documents, described what I knew, and signed my name to formal statements. The whole process felt surreal, like watching someone else dismantle the life I'd built over 7 years. Miss Song, you did the right thing, the female agent assured me. Many people would protect their partners even knowing they were breaking the law. After they left, I sat in my childhood bedroom staring at my phone. 3 missed calls from James, 7 from various coworkers, and 1 text from Alex. Breakfast tomorrow to discuss your professional future, only your choice. I appreciated his approach, giving me space, keeping business separate from personal matters. It was so different from James's manipulative pressure tactics. My mother knocked gently before entering with a cup of tea. The wedding planner called. She said casually, I nearly spilled my tea. What wedding planner? She smiled innocently. Well, you did agree to marry the man I chose. Mom, I didn't mean immediately. She sat beside me on the bed. MIA. Business moves quickly. If you're going to work with Alex while James is being investigated, people will talk. Having an official engagement will silence gossip about corporate espionage or revenge. I gazed at her incredulously. Are you suggesting I get engaged as a strategic business move? I asked. She patted my hand reassuringly. I'm suggesting you consider all aspects of your situation. Besides, being engaged doesn't mean you have to rush into marriage, or go through with it at all if you change your mind. Just then, my father appeared in the doorway. The Chen family has invited us to dinner tonight, he announced. Their son has spoken quite highly of you. I groaned, flopping back onto my bed. This is moving too quickly. My mother chimed in philosophically. Life moves fast, dear, sometimes. We have to run just to keep up. That evening, I found myself in the Chen's opulent home, feeling somewhat out of place despite wearing my finest cocktail dress. Mrs. Chen greeted me with a warm smile, her eyes scanning me approvingly. So, you're the marketing genius who's been hiding in plain sight, she remarked. My son has a stack of your campaigns in his office. It's quite the shrine. Alex, overhearing this as he entered, actually blushed. Mother, please, he protested. What? It's true, she continued. Every time Quay Tech releases something new, you'd point out, that's Mia's work. Look at the narrative structure. I raised an eyebrow at Alex. Narrative structure. The way you build relationships between customers and products, he explained, looking slightly embarrassed. A warm feeling unfurled in my chest at the thought that someone had not only recognized my work but admired it enough to study it. Dinner turned out to be surprisingly pleasant. The Chens were far from the cold, calculating business people I had expected. Mrs. Chen, a retired professor, had a wicked sense of humor, and Mr. Chen, though quieter, had kind eyes and asked thoughtful questions about my career aspirations. Over dessert, Mrs. Chen broached another topic. Alex tells us you're considering joining Vertex, she said. We're discussing possibilities. I answered cautiously. Excellent, she beamed. And the engagement? When will that be announced? Alex choked on his wine. Mother, the parents have agreed the young people are compatible. Why waste time? My parents looked equally mortified. We discussed this. My mother murmured. Step by step, I cleared my throat. While I appreciate everyone's enthusiasm, I just ended a 7-year relationship yesterday. I'm not ready to leap into an engagement today. To my surprise, Mr. Chen nodded approvingly. Wise, marriage is serious business and should not be rushed. 2 weeks is a reasonable time. Yes, Alex and I exchanged glances of mutual exasperation, and suddenly, we were both laughing. A genuine moment of connection amid the absurdity. Later, Alex walked me through their garden while our parents discussed whatever parents discuss when plotting their children's futures. I apologize for my mother, he said. She's been trying to marry me off for years. At least she's direct about it. I replied. Mine pretends it's all my idea. We stopped by a small pond where koi fish swam lazy circles, the evening air cool and scented with jasmine. MIA, Alex said seriously. I want to be clear about something. The job offer is real and completely separate from whatever our parents are planning. You can take the position, and nothing else. I studied his face in the garden lights. Why are you so interested in me? Alex, professionally. I mean, he considered this. Because you see things differently. Your marketing doesn't just sell products. It tells stories people want to be part of. He smiled slightly. And because you managed to boost Quay Tech's market presence by 200% on a shoestring budget while James took all the credit, imagine what you could do with proper resources and recognition. And personally, I asked, surprising myself with my boldness. His expression softened. That's simpler. I liked what I saw when I researched you. I liked it even more when you stood up to James yesterday. Despite everything, I'd like the chance to know the real MIA song. His honesty was disarming. No grand promises, no manipulation, just straightforward interest. I accept the job, I decided. As for the rest, let's just say I'm open to possibilities. The next morning, I arrived at Vertex Technologies for my first day. Alex had arranged a private office, a competent assistant, and a welcome basket containing advanced copies of the financial and tech magazines I'd mentioned enjoying during our dinner conversation. The small, thoughtful gesture touched me more than James's occasional grand gestures ever had. My new assistant, Lynn, handed me my schedule. Mr. Chin has arranged a lunch meeting for you with the marketing team, and there's a package that just arrived, marked urgent. The package contained a burner phone and a note. Call me. I have information about James. Rebecca. I stared at it, my instincts warring. Rebecca had been part of James's deception, but her reaching out could mean anything. I locked my office door and dialed. MIA. Rebecca answered immediately. Don't hang up, I need to meet you. Why would I meet the woman who helped James cheat on me? Because James isn't just embezzling, she said urgently. He's planning to sell your proprietary technology to overseas buyers before the company collapses. I have proof. My heart raced. Why would you betray him now? There was a pause. He was using me too. I was never his childhood friend. I was hired to play a role, to make you jealous, to drive you away so he wouldn't have to share the IPO profits with you. The revelation stunned me. You were acting, at first, she admitted, then it became real for me, but not for him. Once I served my purpose, he had another woman lined up. I was disposable. The pain in her voice sounded genuine. If you're telling the truth, take your evidence to the SEC. I can't, she insisted. James has friends there. The evidence would disappear. You need to see it first. Make copies. We arranged to meet at a coffee shop the following day. When I hung up, I sat motionless, processing this new information. If true, it meant James's betrayal went deeper than I'd imagined. A sharp knock at my door interrupted my thoughts. It was Alex. Everything okay? You missed the team meeting. I hesitated. Then made a decision. Rebecca contacted me. She claims James is selling company secrets. Alex's expression darkened. It could be a trap. He studied me carefully. Or it could be legitimate. Either way, we need to find out. I raised an eyebrow. I can handle this myself. I know you can, he said simply, but you don't have to. That evening, I received a text from James. I know you're meeting Rebecca tomorrow. Big mistake, Emma. Last chance to fix this. Come home, and all is forgiven. A chill ran through me. How did he know about the meeting? Had Rebecca betrayed me? Was this all an elaborate setup? I called Alex immediately. Change of plans, I said as soon as he answered. I think we're being played. The morning of my wedding, the day dawned bright and clear. A stark contrast to the storm of emotions inside me. It had been only 3 weeks since that humiliating scene at the Japanese restaurant. 3 weeks that had turned my world upside down. I stood in front of the mirror in my childhood bedroom, already dressed in my wedding gown. The ivory silk whispered against my skin with every movement. My mother had cried when I first tried it on, saying I looked like a vision. Now, she fussed with my veil, her hands trembling slightly. Are you certain about this? MIA, she asked, meeting my gaze in the mirror. It's all happened so fast. I took a deep breath. I'm sure, Mom, more sure than I've been about anything in a long time. The past 3 weeks had been a whirlwind of revelations and calculated moves, each one bringing me closer to this moment. The meeting that changed everything. Rebecca had been the key. We set up the meeting carefully. Alex's security team stationed throughout the coffee shop. When Rebecca arrived, she looked nervous. Clutching a manila envelope. I'm being followed, she whispered as she slid into the seat across from me. James suspects I took documents. What's in the envelope? She pushed it across the table. Everything. The overseas deals, the shell companies, the real financial statements. James has been running a scam for years. My stomach clenched as I flipped through the papers, instantly recognizing the official Quaytech letterheads and James's signature. The evidence was damning. If it was real, why are you doing this? I asked, my voice low. Tears welled in Rebecca's eyes. He threatened me, said that if the SEC investigation gained traction, he'd make sure I took the fall. I was just a secretary who got too ambitious. He'd say, I'm not going to prison for him. Just as I was about to respond, my phone buzzed, a text from Alex. Get out now, James just arrived. My breath caught. I grabbed Rebecca's arm. We need to leave, now. Her face went white. That's impossible. He's in a board meeting across town. The realization hit me like a freight train. I turned to her slowly. You told him about this meeting. She didn't deny it. He promised he'd protect me, she whispered, if I helped him one last time. The door to the coffee shop burst open. James strode in, flanked by 2 men in dark suits. His voice carried across the room. MAA, always so gullible. I stood my ground as he approached. And you, I said, my voice calm, are always so predictable. His confident smirk faltered. What do you mean? I smiled. This meeting was never about getting information from Rebecca. It was about exposing you, right on cue. 2 customers at the next table stood up, flashing badges. SEC agents. The barista behind the counter followed, holding up a recording device. James Calloway, one agent announced, we have a warrant for your arrest on charges of securities fraud, embezzlement, and attempted corporate espionage. James lunged for the envelope in my hands, but I was ready. I stepped aside as Alex emerged from the back room, blocking his path. It's over, James, Alex said quietly. The rage in James's eyes was terrifying. You set me up, he spat. You and your new boyfriend planned this. I met his glare head on. No, James, you set yourself up. I just made sure you faced the consequences. As the agents led him away, Rebecca stood frozen. The weight of her betrayal crashing down. What happens to me? She whispered. The remaining agent gave her a measured look. That depends on how cooperative you are. We need witnesses. A new beginning. That evening, Alex proposed. No elaborate gestures, no business arrangements. Just the 2 of us, alone in his office after everyone had gone home. These past 2 weeks have shown me something important, he said, taking my hands in his. We make an exceptional team, MIA song. In business and in life, I laughed softly. Is this a merger proposal? He grinned. "It's whatever you want it to be." Then he pulled out a small velvet box. "Take all the time you need. Months, years, I'll wait, but I wanted you to know where I stand." Inside was a single, perfect diamond, not flashy, not ostentatious, elegant and strong, like the foundation we had built together. I swallowed hard, my heart racing. "2 conditions," I said. He nodded. "Anything. 1. We're equals in everything." "Done." 2. We never stop being honest with each other, even when it's difficult. His response was immediate. "Agreed. Any other terms you'd like to negotiate?" I smiled, sliding the ring onto my finger. "Just one. I don't want to wait months or years. 3 weeks should be sufficient. The wedding, now." Standing in my wedding dress, I felt a strange sense of peace. What had begun as an arranged business alliance had evolved into something real, something built on mutual respect, trust, and growing affection. It wasn't the reckless, consuming love I had once felt for James, and perhaps that was its greatest strength. A knock at the door pulled me from my thoughts. It was time. My father entered the room looking dashing in his tuxedo. His eyes misted over when he saw me. "It's time," he said softly. Downstairs, the house was abuzz with the aroma of flowers and the chatter of guests, a cozy gathering of family and close friends. The ceremony was set in our garden, a canvas painted with the vibrant colors of spring blooms. At the end of the aisle stood Alex, tall and distinguished in his sleek black tuxedo. When our eyes met, his face lit up with a warm, genuine smile that made my heart flutter, a stark contrast to the practiced charm I had once known with James. My father squeezed my hand reassuringly as we began our procession. The music swelled, guests rose to their feet, and I took a deep breath, ready to start anew. Then, a commotion at the back of the garden caused heads to turn and murmurs to rise. My stomach sank as I saw James standing there. His once expensive suit now looked slept in, his hair a disheveled mess despite his recent release on bail. "Stop this farce," he shouted. "MAA belongs with me." Security moved quickly, but James was faster, advancing halfway down the aisle. 7 years, he pleaded. 7 years we built together. You can't throw that away for him. The garden fell silent. All eyes on me. I felt Alex tense at the altar, ready to step in, but giving me space to handle it. I turned to James, surprisingly calm. "You're right about one thing, James. We did build something together, but you destroyed it when you chose greed over honesty, control over partnership, and Rebecca over me." His face twisted with confusion. "That was business. This is about us." "There is no us," I said firmly. "There's only what I allowed you to take from me year after year, my ideas, my support, my self-respect." I approached him, stopping just out of reach. "Do you know when I decided to leave you, James? It wasn't when I found the financial documents, nor even when you pulled my hair and made me kneel in that restaurant." His expression faltered, showing genuine confusion. "I decided when I realized I couldn't remember the last time I was happy with you. When I understood that loving someone shouldn't require constantly proving my worth." Security finally reached him, taking him firmly by the arms. "I'm not throwing away 7 years," I continued, my voice clear and strong. "I'm reclaiming everything those years taught me, including the knowledge that I deserve better." As they led him away, James called out desperately, "The company will fail without you. Everything we built will collapse." I turned back toward Alex, toward my future. "That was always your greatest mistake, James. Thinking I built it for you, when I was really building myself." The ceremony that followed was perfect, not despite the interruption, but because of it. I spoke my vows with absolute certainty, looking into the eyes of a man who had never asked me to diminish myself to accommodate his ego. "I take you, not as my savior or my second choice," I told Alex, "but as my equal partner in all things." His reply was radiant. "And I take you, knowing that your strength and independence make you extraordinary." At the reception, news broke that Quaytech stock had plummeted following James's arrest and the cancellation of their IPO. Many would lose money, but thanks to our warnings and evidence, the damage was contained. Later, as Alex and I shared our first dance, he whispered, "No regrets." I looked up at this man who had entered my life when I was at my lowest and helped me rise higher than ever before. "Just one," I replied with a smile, "that I waited 7 years to learn what I was truly worth." He pulled me closer. "Then let's not waste another minute. As we danced under the stars, surrounded by people who genuinely supported us, I realized that what had begun as an arrangement of convenience had transformed into something far more valuable, a choice made with clear eyes and an open heart. The man who once made me kneel had unwittingly set me free, and the man my mother chose had given me something James never could, the space to choose myself first. As I glanced down at the document in my hands, my stomach dropped. The letterhead was unmistakably Quatex, signed unmistakably by James. If authentic, the evidence was damning. "Why are you doing this?" I asked Rebecca, noticing her eyes brimming with tears. "He threatened me," she confessed, her voice quivering. "Said if the SEC investigation gained traction, he'd ensure I took the fall. He'd claim I was just a secretary who got too ambitious. I'm not going to prison for him." Just as I was about to reply, my phone vibrated with a text from Alex. "Get out now," James spotted entering through the back. I grasped Rebecca's arm, urgency clear in my voice. "We need to leave. James is here." Her face drained of color. "That's impossible. He's supposed to be in a board meeting across town." In that moment, the pieces fell into place. "You told him about this meeting." I realized aloud, she didn't deny it. He promised he'd protect me if I helped him one last time. Just then, the coffee shop door burst open and James strode in. Flanked by two men in suits. "MIA, he called out, his voice echoing across the room. "Always so gullible." I stood firm as he approached. "And you're always so predictable, James." His confident smile faltered. "What do you mean? This meeting was never about getting information from Rebecca, it was about exposing you." On cue, the two customers at the next table stood up, revealing themselves as SEC agents. The barista behind the counter did the same, holding up a recording device. "James Calloway," one agent announced formally, "we have a warrant for your arrest on charges of securities fraud, embezzlement, and attempted corporate espionage." James lunged for the envelope in my hands, but I was ready. I stepped aside, and Alex emerged from the back room, blocking his path. "It's over, James," Alex said quietly. The rage on James's face was terrifying. "You set me up," he snarled at me. "You and your new boyfriend planned this." "No, James. You set yourself up. I just made sure you faced the consequences." As the agents led him away, Rebecca stood frozen, realizing she too was caught in the trap. "What happens to me?" she whispered. "That depends on how cooperative you are," the remaining agent told her. "We need witnesses." That evening, after the dust had settled, Alex proposed for real. No parents present, no business arrangements discussed, just the two of us in his office after everyone had gone home. "These past 2 weeks have shown me something important," he said, taking my hands in his. "We make an exceptional team, MIA song, in both business and life." I've laughed. "Is this a merger proposal?" "It's whatever you want it to be," he replied, pulling out a small velvet box. "Take all the time you need. Months, years, I'll wait. But I wanted you to know where I stand." Inside was a ring with a single perfect diamond, not flashy or ostentatious, but elegant and strong, much like our newfound relationship. "2 conditions," I said, my heart racing. 1, we're equals in everything. 2, we never stop being honest with each other, even when it's difficult. "Done," he replied immediately. "Any other terms you'd like to negotiate?" I slipped the ring onto my finger. "Just one. I don't want to wait months or years. 3 weeks should be sufficient." Now standing in my wedding dress, I felt a strange sense of peace. What had begun as an arranged business alliance had evolved into something real, built on mutual respect, honesty, and growing affection. It wasn't the passionate, tumultuous love I had with James, but perhaps that was its strength. A knock at the door interrupted my thoughts. My father entered, looking handsome in his tuxedo, his eyes misty when he saw me. "It's time," he said softly. Downstairs, the house was filled with flowers and guests, a small, intimate gathering of family and close friends. The ceremony would take place in our garden, where spring blooms created a natural backdrop. Alex waited at the end, tall and distinguished in his black tuxedo. When our eyes met, his face transformed with a smile that made my heart skip. It wasn't the practiced charm James had wielded, but something genuine and warm. My father squeezed my hand as we began our walk. The music swelled, guests rose to their feet, and I took a deep breath, ready to begin this new chapter. Then, a commotion at the back of the garden. Heads turned. Murmurs rose, and my stomach dropped as I saw who had arrived. James stood there, his expensive suit replaced by one that looked slept in. His hair disheveled, despite being released on bail pending trial, he looked like a man with nothing to lose. "Stop this farce," he shouted. "MIA belongs with me." Security moved quickly, but James was faster. He rushed forward, stopping halfway down the aisle. 7 years, he pleaded. 7 years we built together. You can't throw that away for him. The garden fell silent. Everyone watched me, waiting for my reaction. I felt Alex tense at the altar, ready to intervene. But respecting my right to handle this myself, I turned to James, surprisingly calm. "You're right about one thing, James. We did build something together, but you destroyed it when you chose greed over honesty, control over partnership, and Rebecca over me." His face contorted. "That was business. This is about us." "There is no us," I said firmly. "There's only what I allowed you to take from me year after year. My ideas, my support, my self-respect." I walked toward him, stopping just out of reach. "Do you know when I decided to leave you, James? Not when I found the financial documents, not even when you pulled my hair and made me kneel in that restaurant." His expression faltered with genuine confusion. "I decided when I realized I couldn't remember the last time I felt happy with you. When I understood that loving someone shouldn't require constantly proving my worth." Security finally reached him, taking his arms firmly. "I'm not throwing away 7 years." I continued, my voice clear and strong. "I'm claiming back everything those years taught me, including the knowledge that I deserve better." As they led him away, James called out one last desperate plea. "The company will fail without you. Everything we built will collapse." I turned back toward Alex, toward my future. "That was always your greatest mistake, James. Thinking I built it for you when I was really building myself." The ceremony that followed was perfect. Not despite the interruption, but because of it. I spoke my vows with absolute certainty, looking into the eyes of a man who had never asked me to diminish myself to accommodate his ego. "I take you, not as my savior or my second choice," I told Alex, "but as my equal partner in all things." His smile was radiant as he replied, "And I take you, knowing that your strength and independence are what make you extraordinary." At the reception, news broke that Quaytech stock had plummeted following James's arrest and the cancellation of their IPO. Many would lose money, but thanks to our warnings and evidence, the damage was contained. Later that evening, as Alex and I shared our first dance, he whispered in my ear, "No regrets." I looked up at this man who had entered my life at my lowest moment and helped me rise higher than I'd ever been. "Just one," I replied with a smile. "That I waited 7 years to learn what I was truly worth." He pulled me closer. "Then let's not waste another minute." As we danced under the stars, surrounded by people who genuinely supported us, I realized that what had begun as an arrangement of convenience had become something far more valuable. A choice made with clear eyes and an open heart. The man who once made me kneel had unwittingly set me free. And the man my mother chose had given me something James never could, the space to choose myself first. Thank you for watching today's story. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below, so feel free to share your opinions. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more great stories. We'll see you in the next video.